it chapter by chapter, one bite at a time. So many adventures and mountains we can climb. Take it word for word, line by line, one bite at a time.
Welcome to Bite at a Time Books, where we read you your favorite classics one bite at a time. My name is Bree Carlile, and I love to read, and wanted to share my passion with listeners like you. If you want to know what's coming next and vote on upcoming books, sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com. You'll also find our new t-shirts in the shop, including podcast shirts and quote shirts from your favorite classic novels. Be sure to follow my show on your favorite podcast platform so you get all the new episodes. You can find most of our links in the show notes, but also our website, biteatatimebooks.com, includes all of the links for our show, including to our Patreon to support the show, and YouTube, where we have special behind the narration of the episodes. We're part of the Bite at a Time Books Productions Network. If you'd also like to hear what inspired your favorite classic authors to write their novels, and what was going on in the world at the time, check out the Bite at a Time Books Behind the Story podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Please note, while we try to keep the text as close to the original as possible, some words have been changed to honor the marginalized communities who've identified the words as harmful, and to stay in alignment with Bite at a Time Books' brand values. Today we'll be continuing Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Chapter 12. Monsieur Bamatabois' Inactivity. There is in all small towns, and there was at M in particular, a class of young men who nibble away an income of 1,500 francs with the same air with which their prototypes devour 200,000 francs a year in Paris. These are beings of the great neuter species, impotent men, parasites, ciphers who have a little land, a little folly, a little wit, who would be rustics in a drawing room, and who think themselves gentlemen in the dram shop, who say, "My fields, my peasants, my woods," who hiss actresses at the theater to prove that they are persons of taste, quarrel with the officers of the garrison to prove that they are men of war, hunt, smoke, yawn, drink, smell of tobacco, play billiards, stare at travelers as they descend from the diligence, live at the cafe, dine at the inn, have a dog which eats the bones under the table, and a mistress who eats the dishes on the table, who stick at sous, exaggerate the fashions, admire tragedy, despise women, wear out their old boots, copy London through Paris, and Paris through the medium of Pont-à-Mousson, grow old as dullards, never work, serve no use, and do no great harm. Monsieur Felix Tholomyès, had he remained in his own province and never beheld Paris, would have been one of these men. If they were richer, one would say they are dandies. If they were poor, one would say they are idlers. They are simply men without employment. Among these unemployed, there are bores, the bored, dreamers, and some knaves. At that period, a dandy was composed of a tall collar, a big cravat, a watch with trinkets, 3 vests of different colors, worn one on top of the other, the red and blue inside of a short-waisted olive coat, with a codfish tail, a double row of silver buttons set close to each other and running up to the shoulder, and a pair of trousers of a lighter shade of olive, ornamented on the 2 seams with an indefinite but always uneven number of lines, varying from 1 to 11, a limit which was never exceeded. Add to this high shoes with little irons on the heels, a tall hat with a narrow brim, hair worn in a tuft, an enormous cane, and conversation set off by puns of Podier. Overall, spurs and a mustache. At that epoch, mustaches indicated the bourgeois, and spurs the pedestrian. The provincial dandy wore the longest of spurs and the fiercest of mustaches. It was the period of the conflict of the republics of South America with the King of Spain, of Bolivar against Murillo. Narrow-brimmed hats were royalist and were called Murillos. Liberals wore hats with wide brims, which were called Bolivars. 8 or 10 months, then, after that which is related in the preceding pages, towards the 1st of January, 1823, on a snowy evening, one of these dandies, one of these unemployed, a right-thinker, for he wore a Murillo and was, moreover, warmly enveloped in one of those large cloaks which completed the fashionable costume in cold weather, was amusing himself by tormenting a creature who was prowling about in a ball dress, with neck uncovered and flowers in her hair in front of the officer's cafe. This dandy was smoking, for he was decidedly fashionable. Each time that the woman passed in front of him, he bestowed on her, together with a puff from his cigar, some apostrophe which he considered witty and mirthful, such as, "How ugly you are," "Will you get out of my sight?" "You have no teeth," etc., etc. This gentleman was known as Monsieur Bamatabois. The woman? A melancholy, decorated spectre which went and came through the snow, made him no reply, did not even glance at him, and nevertheless continued her promenade in silence and with a somber regularity, which brought her every 5 minutes within reach of this sarcasm, like the condemned soldier who returns under the rods. The small effect which he produced no doubt piqued the lounger, and taking advantage of a moment when her back was turned, he crept up behind her with the gait of a wolf, and stifling his laugh, bent down, picked up a handful of snow from the pavement, and thrust it abruptly into her back between her bare shoulders. The woman uttered a roar, whirled round, gave a leap like a panther, and hurled herself upon the man, burying her nails in his face, with the most frightful words which could fall from the guardroom into the gutter. These insults, poured forth in a voice roughened by brandy, did indeed proceed in hideous wise from a mouth which lacked its 2 front teeth. It was Fantine. At the noise thus produced, the officers ran out in throngs from the cafe, passers-by collected, and a large and merry circle, hooting and applauding, was formed around this whirlwind composed of 2 beings, whom there was some difficulty in recognizing as a man and a woman. The man, struggling, his hat on the ground. The woman striking out with feet and fists, bareheaded, howling, minus hair and teeth, livid with wrath, horrible. Suddenly, a man of lofty stature emerged vivaciously from the crowd, seized the woman by her satin bodice, which was covered with mud, and said to her, "Follow me." The woman raised her head. Her furious voice suddenly died away. Her eyes were glassy. She turned pale instead of livid, and she trembled with a quiver of terror. She had recognized Javert. The dandy took advantage of the incident to make his escape. Thank you for joining Bite at a Time Books today, while we read a bite of one of your favorite classics. Again, my name is Bree Carlile, and I hope you come back tomorrow for the next bite of Les Miserables. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter at biteatatimebooks.com and check out the shop. You can check out the show notes or our website, biteatatimebooks.com, for the rest of the links for our show. We'd love to hear from you on social media as well.